Welcome, everyone, to the 10th edition of the European Film Festival. I'm Musonda, and today we're joined by Barbara, the director of The Golden Years. Barbara, thank you for taking your time to be with us.
Thank you for giving me the time to speak to you.
Okay, great. We lived in societies that focus on youth, that celebrate and revere youth, and shrink away from the golden years, so to speak. Why did you want to tell this story?
Well, actually, I was offered the script, so I didn't write it myself. I was offered the script, and when I read it, for me, it was quite soon more a love story than a story about age, or in its core, it's a love story, and that was what attached me the most when I first read it. And then during the process of doing it, more and more, I started to think about the age. I mean, already with the cast, who do you cast for these roles and everything, or all these questions. And then I realized that what really is a difference between telling stories about young people or about older people is that that the rucksack of experiences they bring, it's whole life. They bring these characters, which simply, even if you have a very life full of experiences already when you're a young person, still it's never the same as the years lived. So I was really attracted to that as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The focus of the film, it's love, life and death, aging, joy, connection, intimacy. What did you want the audience to ponder on, and what did you want the audience to take away when they watch the film?
Actually, it's two things. If we speak about age, I would say it's never too late to change your life. It does not always have to be a dramatic change as it is in the movie, but it can be also small changes. But I think the film, the story encourages us to forget about something being too late to change, for a change. So and on the focus of love, the second thing, which is the core of this story, is always communicate. Don't forget to communicate. And this is something, I think, which is important also if you're 20 years old and starting a relationship, no matter the age.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you say that, because one of my favorite sequences is when she comes to confront her husband. Alice, the main character, comes to confront her husband, Peter, about the fact that he seemingly doesn't desire her anymore or doesn't want to have a connection with her. And the first thing I'm thinking there is, like, there was just no communication here. How did it get to this point where they have this realization that, oh, they want different things?
Everyday life, I would say. It's everyday life. It's you live together, you have your children, even though it's not extremely clear in the movie, but both of them work. She also had a work. She's also retired, so each of them is working, and then you come home and you're tired, and food, and one wants to read and the other one wants to watch the TV or wants to go out with friends or do sports. And it happens quite fast, that over the years and over the everyday also troubles you have. I mean, it's not easy living a life. There's always something to worry about. And maybe you speak about that one issue as a family, but it happens quite fast that a couple can lose the conversation, the real communication between them.
So in that sequence of scenes, it's a disappointing scene for her. It's upsetting. And then you take us through to where she leaves the room they're in, and she goes and she sleeps outside of the boat in the deck. But when she wakes up to this beautiful sunrise, and there's almost from her disappointment and upset and that tension, there's almost this peaceful realization, if not acceptance. And it was such a beautiful, emotional scene. I found it to be quite emotional.
Yeah.
But it was so masterfully crafted. The way you take the sequence from, that tense conversation to that peaceful thing where we land and she's watching the sunrise and she has this kind of epiphany of sorts. What is it that you wanted to say in that moment, in that scene where she's watching the sunrise?
That she realizes that life is worth so much, and you realize this in moments of deep disappointment, when you just have the magic of nature, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When you just feel the power of a beautiful light, of a beautiful sunrise or sunset or whatever it is, but I think it's really something that nature can give us when we're totally despaired, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Desperation. Yeah. When we're like, oh, I don't know how to get out of this situation, but I'm just really not happy. That when you see something as beautiful as this, you see it's worth to fight for it, because life can be very beautiful, and I want it to be as beautiful as it can be. So it encourages her to take the next step, which she takes.
I love how in the film you speak about how the second act, the golden years, it's this opportunity to, like you said, to not waste your life, to live, to have a life that's well lived, like a second chance almost. And you kind of use this visual analogy with nature, and you say it in the script somewhere that it's like being on an ocean, and this horizon, it's infinite, and yet the horizon acts as kind of the finite boundary, because we kind of know what happens after the second act. What was your inspiration for using that visual analogy of nature and its vastness?
I think it's what I said before. It's that it helps us to focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved how you put those.
Yeah.
How even when she has the menage a trois, she comes to another moment where nature kind of feeds into her in that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is these contemplative moments when you just do nothing but watch the beauty that is there in front of you. And I think it's something you can really find almost everywhere. Of course, there are situations where there's just nothing beautiful in it. But I think also in very, very bad moments and in very, very bad situations, there are these glimpses of moments that can give you confidence and strength and belief.
Just going back to one of the things that attracted you to the film, you said it was the love story, the changing nature of love.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your thought process and what you wanted to explore in the changing nature of love?
Well, what I really find interesting is how the story ends. I think the script writer Petra Volpe, she has really found a very, very beautiful and also intelligent message at the end. What the love, concerning the love, without spoiling everything what happens in the end, but there is not black and white. There are colors in between. There is like there is no yes or no. There is a love that which goes beyond wanting to possess. It's like, because I love you and I see that you need something else than I do, exactly because of that, I let you go, or I distance myself, because I don't force you into being the one I want you to be, because I love you. And I know it's not good for you being the one I want you to be, living the life from now on I want to live. It's not good for you. And this is, for me, a very ultimate form of love, which yeah, usually we try to keep everything together and force each other into situations where maybe one is not comfortable with.
Mm.
And so I wanted to explore, first of all, I wanted to explore what happens with a couple that has spent so many years and so many, I mean, they had expectations what could happen after they work, but then they find out that when they're together the whole day, it just, it just doesn't work. It doesn't make them happy. So what happens if you find out that actually what you thought is the situation is not the situation? And how do you deal with that? And this can happen to you also in another different stage of age. It can happen when the babies arrive. It can happen before the babies, that we all expect a life together and suddenly we realize that, oh, maybe I expected it that way, but the other one not. So expectation, actually. Yeah.
I love the music. It added such lightness to some serious issues and themes that were coming through, such levity. Can you talk us through your thought process in choosing the music and creating that soundscape?
Yes, that was very interesting with that work because quite from the beginning, I had ideas how the music should be, and I made a list, a Spotify list for myself with inspirational songs. And one inspirational song was by a composer, German composer, Carsten Meyer. And it was from the very beginning on my inspirational list, and I listened to it quite often, to the whole list, while I was preparing the film, but also when I was just walking in the city with earphones. I was like, I entered into the universe, the musical universe of the film I wanted to make. And then I started to listen other stuff from Carsten because I liked that one song so much. And suddenly I realized that Carsten also does film scores. And then I contacted him and I said, look, actually, exactly what you do is how I hear that film. Would you like to score? And luckily, he wanted to do the music for the film. So this is how it started with the collaboration with the composer. And then with the original songs that are in the movie, yes, they were on this inspirational list, almost everything that is in the movie. Except the dancing scene, there is a music which the editor put it on to edit it. And I just heard it and said, it's perfect. Let's just keep it.
Okay. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for such a heartwarming film, such a lighthearted film. It was really lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy that you liked it.
Great stuff.
Well, so goodbye to South Africa.